Hey folks, eating food one here. Hey. This guy here, he is Moon Knight. I think he is one of the more rare, obscure, characters. He's a Marvel. And this book right here, Essential Moon Knight Volume 1, I just finished it. And I already have Volume 2 ready, so, you know, I can continue reading the adventures of Moon Knight. If you have not seen this guy before, or read any of his adventures, let me give you a brief, what do I want to call it? Help me out here. Outline, or whatever you want to call it, of his origin. His primary identity, we'll get to that in a minute, is Mark Spector, a mercenary kind of soldier of fortune dude. When he was a soldier mercenary dude, he was touring in the continent of Africa, where he was injured in battle. Then, his love interest by a woman named Marlene put his near-dead body in front of this statue, the Egyptian moon god called Kaboshu. Am I pronouncing that right? You might want to double-check me. Anyway, this statue infused him with the powers of the moon. Example, what I mean by that is, depending on how full the moon is, like if the moon is full, then he gets a whole bunch of super strength, and then when it's like at a half moon or a crescent moon or whatever, he still gets super strength, but not that much. What do I want to say next? What makes this character here unique is, most superheroes, they have a secret identity. Moon Knight here, on the other hand, has 3 secret identities. One being, we discussed already, Mark Spector, mercenary, soldier of fortune. The other 2, Jake Lockley, a New York cab driver, because, like most Marvel characters, he takes place in New York. And last but not least, Stephen Grant, a millionaire. I gotta tell you, I freaking love this character. I am now Manaic for Moon Knight. He is one of my favorite Marvels, and I gotta say, in my opinion, which coincidentally is always right, he is one of the best Marvels. Just like Spider-Man, you know, he should be, Superhero Hall of Fame here. He first made his first appearance in the Marvel magazine Werewolf by Night, and kind of like the Punisher, he was sort of like a villain when he first started out, but then, once you learn his backstory and who he is under the mask, you know that he's like really a hero, kind of like the Punisher, he's kind of like one of those anti-heroes. And I mean, look at this guy. Come here. He looks like the ghost of Christmas Future, doesn't he? And see, I put him this really cool action figure in, like, the pose on the cover, See? That's a really cool cover. Like when Superman puts his hands down by his hips, that's like his pose. This right here is Moon Knight's pose. His 2 fists up like he's ready to fight. And another cool thing about him is his cape. His cape is kind of like Batman's cape. Like, he can use it as like a gliding device. And what he does, he puts his hands, on each side of the cape to stretch it out. And what's really cool is, when the cape is fully stretched out, his shadow is a crescent moon, because he's Moon Knight. And like Batman, Batman has accomplices, and so does Moon Knight. He has his girlfriend Marlene, the butler. Of course, you gotta have the butler. Some homeless dude named Crawley, and a woman who runs a diner named Gina, and her kids, kind of like the eyes and ears on the streets, and Moon Knight goes to beat up the bad guy. And a few interesting Moon Knight villains. One is Midnight Man. He commits his crimes at midnight. The other one is Bushman. A little backstory, I think, on that villain. Mark Spector, one of Moon Knight's identities. This Bushman guy, he's like a real bastard, and he has this, like, freaky skull tattoo on his face, and this guy is basically, like a killer, So, Moon Knight is a great character. If you haven't looked him up before, I suggest you do. In my opinion, which, again, happens to always be right, he is one of the best. One of the best Marvel ever. I'm Manaic for Moon Knight, yeah! So, look up Moon Knight. He is a good Marvel, and he will be appearing in Rift. I was thinking, but, like I mentioned before, what does this guy sound like? I mentioned kind of like Batman, Kevin Conroy's Batman, that deep, commanding presence voice, or I think he might sound like Rorschach. So in in Rift, still don't know what this guy sounds like. And again, if anyone can do a good Moon Knight impression, I would like you to post a video response, and may I consider that an audition tape. I'll talk to you. Read Moon Knight. He's awesome. Trust me.